Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Built Different. We are going to be doing something. You guys love arms. You guys have always asked me about arms, biceps. We're going to just do two exercises. We're going to do hammers because a lot of people talk about hammer curls. They don't do them correctly. We're going to go over that. And then I'm going to do something else called drag curls. I'm going to show you a little bit about that as well and the techniques that I use for that. So with regard to biceps in general, guys, and this is something that I think, I've talked about this a lot. Yeah, genetics have a lot to do with biceps for many people. The bicep for different people are, the insertions are in different places. But what I find about biceps that's amazing when I go to the gyms and when I see people train biceps is that they're not really focusing on that mind-muscle connection. And I talked to you guys about this and how important the mind-muscle connection is with regard to the bicep, with regard to all our workouts and our approach, especially as we get older. But I see it time and time again that guys are taking heavy weights, especially in the biceps, for whatever reason, doing curls. When people are doing curls, they wanna grab that barbell, they wanna grab these heavy dumbbells and hoist these dumbbells up and move them through the air, this weight through the air. And what happens? You're not isolating the bicep, you're working other body parts. You're doing more or less a whole body workout rather than focusing on the muscle that you want to work out to begin with. So for purposes of today, and what I want to go over with you guys is not only the approach and the technique, but the specific exercises that I like to do. Sometimes I will do these alone, and sometimes I will include them in a giant set or in my biceps, whether I'm working, triceps and biceps, or I've decided to just do 3 or 4 different exercises. It really depends. Sometimes I'll just do them by themselves. And then what I'll show you as well is depending upon what machines or what equipment you may have, that you can do different things. But I'm sure you guys all have dumbbells, and if you don't have dumbbells, get dumbbells, okay? Now what I also have, and this is something that you guys got to consider getting, are these rods, these barbell, I don't know what you want to call these, weighted sticks. I don't even know what they're called. I'll put the name in the link for you guys what these are. I don't get sponsored by these guys, but basically these are weighted, and we use these for so many different reasons. You can use these weighted things. You can use them when you do lunges. You can use them when you do, tricep exercises. You can use them when you do biceps. So for me, what I'm gonna do with them for a little bit of warm up, I'm gonna do a little bit of my bicep drag curls. And one of the things about drag curls that, as you guys can see I'm doing, is that the drag curl is something in which you really need to focus on parallel space in between whatever you're using. In this instance, I'm using this barbell, this little bar here. And then as you bring it up and down, you're really focusing on moving your elbow this way so you can isolate your bicep. It's a really good exercise to do with light weight in the beginning, especially as the warm up. And again, you're really keeping this area open when you're doing this exercise specifically. You're just moving yourself up, you're moving the weight back and forth, up and down, just like that, and you keep that buffer, that space. And then what you can do with this, obviously, is as you get a little heavier with these bars, and these things can get heavy, believe it or not. These things can get heavy. What is this one? I think it's 9 pounds. But it seems heavier than 9 pounds for whatever reason. And as you do these exercises, and as you go up and back, you really want to feel that squeeze in your bicep and isolate your bicep as you're doing that exercise. And if you could just imagine when you're doing these, that you want to keep this space. You really want to keep that space there as you're bringing it back and forth. Now, sometimes I do this on a Smith machine as well, and you can do it with dumbbells, but it doesn't work as well because it doesn't really keep you in a slotted position. So I like to use like a smaller barbell like this, or the Smith machine. Now the reason why I do this exercise in isolation, and you can do that separate and by itself, these drag curls, but I like to do it in tandem with hammer curls, because when you're working your hammer curls, you're working the outside portion, your brachial, and I'm gonna show you a way in which you go inside a little bit, and that'll work your forearm as well. But I like to do it because I wanna really focus on those areas. And if I'm doing a lot of different bicep work, I don't really focus too much on a hammer curl. Sometimes I'll end up doing it at the end, but what's nice about it, if I'm gonna do like one day where I'm just gonna do maybe one exercise for bicep and then the hammer curl and insert that in, this is the way I could do it. And by using these real isolated type movement with this drag curl, it gives me optimum time and really gives me the focus and the strength to focus on my hammer curls. Now, with regard to the hammer curls, guys, everybody does it different. I see people, they grab these heavy dumbbells and they're swaying these things up and down. My approach to these, take your hand, basically put your hand like this and kind of cup it like you're holding something. And I put the dumbbell underneath like this, and I kind of lift it with the weight kind of resting on the outside palm of my hand, so I could really feel it. And when you do this, what happens is you can see I'm flexing here. You could see how it's automatically right here. Instead of if I grip it like this, it seems to take away from the pressure when I hold like this. So the contraction here, while I will have to do that to keep the weight in my hand, for the most part, what I try to do is focus on this weight and cupping this in this movement to begin with. That's the first thing I take a look at. The other thing, obviously, is with my hand, how I want to grip it. And sometimes I'll even point my finger to help me cup it as I bring it up. Now, this is where people get a little confused. You can do it a couple of ways, right? You can do it where you're going parallel, and you can do it when you go inside. One of the things you need to do when you do this exercise is keep those elbows pretty tucked in. You don't want them flared out when you do the exercise. You want it tucked in so you could isolate more of the outer portion of your bicep area. So for me, I like to alternate it. And what I mean by that is, like, I'll go up and down pretty straight, back and forth this way, and then what I'll do on the next set, I'll go in. So I'll go straight, and then sometimes I'll go in as well. So these are only 5 pounds right now. So, you know, this is just basically a warm-up that I'm doing with regard to the hammer curls. And again, you can do one of two ways. You can do the drag curl into the hammer curl as a giant set, or you can do the drag curl by itself, bars or some type of Smith machine, and then go right to hammer curls. But when you do go to the hammer curls, I do suggest that you really think about your approach on how you want to do it, and you don't want to go heavy. Now, I do them standing up, but here's another way you can do them. You can basically do them on an incline. And one of the reasons why people like to do them on an incline, and I've got the incline bench set up here, is because you can stretch your bicep a little bit with it when you get back. And as you go up, you can kind of isolate it a little bit more. I don't like to do it this way. I just rather be in a position in which I'm standing, because I feel like I'm not, you know, when I'm standing, I feel like I'm not putting as much pressure on my shoulders as I do it. Now, I have a tendency to stick my head when I'm talking to you guys. You know, when I do this exercise, if I was in the gym doing it, my head would be back pretty much. But I wouldn't be doing this particular exercise on an incline. But some guys like to do it on an incline. If you want to do it on an incline, do it on an incline. The other thing you can do with the hammers, I brought to show you guys, you probably see this in the gym all the time, the rope, right? With regard to the rope, you can do hammers too on a cable, where you can go up like this. You can also kind of vary with this and go up and out with it as well. Up and supinate, up and supinate. That's another way you can do the hammer curls. But for me, the way I like working the hammer curls is I like using these dumbbells, and I like going up progressively, but not too heavy. I also go heavy volume on these hammer curls. And what I mean by volume, I'll go 15 to 20 reps on the hammer curls Now, I won't go really, really heavy. And again, heavy subjective for everybody, right? But for purposes of my approach, I may go up to 20, maybe go up to 25, but I won't do it if I can't get 15 to 20 reps out of it. And I'll do, at a minimum, I'll do 4 to 6 sets of the hammer curls. If I'm doing hammers strictly on a training day in which I can't get I can't get biceps in, or I want to get my I don't want to do any, bicep curls, or I'm just bored, I want to do something different, I may go up to 6 to 8 on the hammer curls. But I'll always incorporate some type of bicep isolation exercise into the hammers. I won't do the hammers by themselves. And for me personally, what ends up happening is I have a tendency to do biceps. Sometimes I'll do a little tricep, maybe one exercise for the tricep to get the blood flowing for my bicep workout. And then I'll work my way into doing my bicep exercises, and I'll finish with hammers. Now, I can get away with it. I've been doing it a long time. If you guys are really wanting to focus on that thickness of your arm area and you want to really build out, you can work these hammers into your repetition, into your routine as a heavy, strong set. Again, 4 to 6, 15 to 20, and work that hard. I have a tendency sometimes to use it as a finishing, maybe do 3 sets of reps up to 20, finishing really light, maybe 10, 15 pounds as I'm finishing up my arm routine. But again, for purposes of just showing you guys how I like to do these things, again, we go up and down, and I'm cupping. Remember that, guys. It's so important because you really need to feel this exercise. And by cupping and gripping I have it in the palm of my hand, and I'm kind of pointing my fingers out, my index finger. By gripping it this way, I really feel the contraction back and forth as I go up and down. The other thing I do, like I said, you go across. You can go alternating across. And this will engage a little bit more of the forearm as you go through this. But I will tell you, grabbing a 35 pound, grabbing these 35s and doing these, it's really hard to do with this approach where you're taking your hands and you're putting it in here. So what I'm doing by doing this exercise and using this technique, I feel personally, is that I'm actually making the weight heavier for me, and I'm isolating my bicep more and the outer portion of my arm more by just simply pointing my finger this way, rather than grabbing the dumbbell, holding it, and then using my wrist and then the momentum of my body to lift it up, which so many people do because they're ego lifting, right? They're ego lifting, guys. They're grabbing the 30s, 35s, and they're going like this with it, which to me makes absolutely no sense because you're ending up working other muscle groups. If you go lighter and you focus on technique, which we always talk about, right? Technique, we have the ability to really zero in on that muscle group and work that area that we're focusing on to maximize our efficiency and our gains and limited injuries. So guys, a lot of talk about hammer curls, but it's a great exercise that you can work on. Again, these rods are really good. These little weighted rods are good to get. There's so many things you can do with these things. The drag curls, simple exercise you can do. You can do it on a Smith machine. If you do the drag curls in it by itself, again, I would suggest doing at least 5 sets of the drag curls. You don't go heavy on these drag curls. There's no way you can go heavy, especially if you use a Smith machine, if you're gonna isolate yourself, because you are taking everything out of the picture. You're solely focusing on moving that weight back and forth. And if you're on a Smith rack, you can't move it, you can't use it, so you gotta stay, up and down that track. It goes up and down, so you're focusing on that. But here again, you're really focusing as you come up your elbow's tucked in and you're moving your bicep back as you come up, your arm, not your bicep, your arm is going back. Your elbow is going back as you lift up. You're keeping, again, parallel with your body when you do this exercise form-wise. Great 2 exercises, guys. Try them out. Let me know. DM me. Remember, subscribe. And guys, as I told you before, we are built different. Remember that. We are built different. We have to approach things differently. Our bodies are different now. We've got to be thoughtful, mind-muscle connection, different types of exercises. Try them out. Shoot me DM and let me know what you think. Thanks, guys.